best-selling show is their life on Mars.
Welcome to I Don't Get It, the pop culture get off my lawn cast. This show, this podcast, this tete-a-tete between two men features the open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons, each who stares down the prospect of their entertainment irrelevance. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry of American Caesar Enterprises, which is I think as everybody knows, a tight-knit group of Staten Island rappers who love Hong Kong action movies just a little too much.
What happened to the Wu-Tang Clan? They were so huge in the late 90s. Did they record another album together? I completely lost track.
Well, the one that they recorded, the album that Martin Shkreli bought, that one off, that was one copy of it.
Oh, right.
But that was,
right.
I think that was like in 14 or 13. What happened to the Wu-Tang is that they essentially all had enormously, massively successful careers, with the exception of Old Dirty Bastard, who was infamous.
Not all of them. There were like 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah, but they each
half of them had successful solo. I mean, see, I was working in music journalism in 1998 and 99.
That's when they came. That was their Enter the Wu-Tang. That was the
right.
time. Yeah,
they were huge, and then they kept really, you got Ghostface Killah, and I used to be able to name them all.
Raekwon, RZA, GZA. Yeah, man.
Even though I have no interest in their music. But they eventually all cohered enough to call themselves the Wu-Tang Clan and release more music. Just that one Martin Shkreli album.
Yeah, there was one in the early 2010s.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, but the thing is, it's like, the RZA's been in movies.
Yes.
The RZA, he's been scoring films as well as it's funny. The RZA designed the Alamo Drafthouse Staten Island bar. It's called the House of the Flying Guillotine, and the whole bar is essentially themed after, I think it's called the Flying Guillotine. It's one of those Shaw Brothers movies,
right?
And so they pretty much gave him a blank check to just design the bar. So each of the Alamos, or at least the better Alamos, have a front of the house that has a really nice theme to it if they care enough about it. So the Staten Island made sense because that's their home base. So they gave RZA this sort of blank check to me. I have not seen it myself, but everyone who goes in there really digs it.
Right. And I couldn't. He was inconsistent whether he was RZA or the RZA.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess you can call him
the RZA. It's not a
RZA.
good question.
I don't know.
It's not a good question.
My favorite is the GZA. The album Liquid Swords is just to me, that will be on Mount Rushmore for all-time rap albums. It's just something about it. It is just marvelous from end to end. It is a Hall of Fame record.
I'll take your word for it. My name is Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quiz master of The Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. Welcome to the show, folks. We look at things that people are excited about. Younger people are excited about.
Or not excited, or dreading.
Or not excited. I mean, here's the thing, Bill. You suggested this. I thought this was a good topic. This is one of these things that people are talking about, even though they don't like. But diving in, are they really talking about it that much? It's not inspiring memes or anything, is it?
Yeah, actually it is, because they're using...
I missed that.
They're using pictures of Ice Cube, which is easy because the whole movie is essentially Ice Cube staring into the camera, making all sorts of dumbfounded faces. So
what depth of character he has. My God,
he's got a place, he's got a time, he has a skill.
He was great in Boys in the Hood, he was good in Friday. I can't remember what else. I saw him in something else.
21 and 22 Jump Streets he was funny in, as the sort of grizzled...
I didn't see either of those. But this is not a performance for the ages.
No, that's a good way to describe it. It's not a performance. Yes. It's not a performance for the ages. I'd say that's correct.
The movie we are talking about, it is the new Amazon Prime release adaptation of the H.G. Wells classic, the 873rd adaptation of the H.G. Wells classic, War of the Worlds.
Yeah, can you believe it, Noah? War of the Worlds.
Direct to Amazon Prime. Filmed in 2020, right?
Yes.
Shelved and seeing the light of day now. And a little different from the past adaptations. Bill, tell us about War of the Worlds 25.
Well, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what War of the Worlds is because it most recently was made in...
it's worlds going to war with each other.
Yeah, worlds going to war. In fact, in this movie, I love textually, it says on more than one occasion, they actually say, this is a War of the Worlds.
Yes.
That's like if somebody had said something in Rocky IV, if somebody says Rocky, Rocky IV, I want every movie to say the name of itself in the text of the film. That way we don't.
No, it should say it as the last line.
Yeah.
The last line of every movie should be the title of the film.
Oh no, it's Jaws. Yeah.
Oh no, it's Jaws! It's Jaws 3D!
It's Jaws 3D. So War of the Worlds, in this particular case, has been other things, but what we are specifically describing is a 2025 American science fiction film based on Herbert George Wells' 1898 novel, The War of the Worlds. The film is directed by some fucking tyro, some guy named Rich Lee.
He's a music video director. He directs videos for your girl, Lana Del Rey.
And also he's an FX guy. He's been on a bunch of projects as sort of in the pit crew of special effects dudes, a lot of imaging and stuff like that. Screenplay by some guys named Kenneth Goldie and Mark Hyman. It stars O'Shea Ice Cube Jackson, as you would probably know better, Eva Longoria and Clark Gregg, among other actors. But not many more actors than that. It's only like 3 or 4 other actors besides them. Very, very narrow cast. It was made by Universal Pictures, because I believe they're the ones that own the current rights to it. They were the ones that produced the Tom Cruise Spielberg 2005 version. But it was distributed by Amazon pre-May. And it came out on July 30. I didn't realize it was out so long. I've only started seeing it the last 3 days. It only
so long.
Well,
it's been 9 days.
I know, but I thought
it's breaking its silence.
This sensation, based on the speciousness of it and the speed at which it's going to move, I thought I would have assumed this came out 4 days ago, and it's it's already been out for practically a week and a half or something. Anyway, whatever. That's my own incredulity. The film is panned by critics. Let's just call it that. In short, this follows the Wells story quite loosely.
0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's amazing.
0%.
It's amazing. 0%. Just
zero.
Just imagine that. It saw a million faces, did not rock a single one of them. To quote the John Bon Jovi scale of attitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many faces were rocked among those that it saw?
It's a face rockulation.
Yeah.
You all know the story is that heavily armed alien Martian tripods arrive on Earth looking to conquer the human race. And in the original, as in this, if you want to skew it a little bit, they're defeated by a contagion, something they couldn't possibly have thought they'd fight against. But in this case, it's a computer virus, which really, to me, was, swiping a very famous movie from, 1996, 1997, that everybody remembers about space aliens.
Oh, what, Independence Day?
Yeah, right. It's kind of unless that's something that baby boomers watch and new audiences have no idea that was the hook of that movie.
I have to, Independence Day, which I think is a great movie, modernizes a lot of concepts from classic science fiction. And one of them is the virus that killed the Martians is a computer virus. Now, I have not seen the Tom Cruise version. I have not seen the C. Thomas Howell version. I mean, there's a new version every 3 years in some medium. I have to imagine since then, half of them have turned the virus into a computer virus, right?
No,
it's
actually,
just too obvious not to.
No, the thing is that the original from '53, the classic, I can't remember the director.
The first famous adaptation.
Yeah, that was the same thing. It was essentially just free floating bacteria killed the aliens.
Right, but I'm saying in the modern era, you think virus, you think computer virus. So if you're going to kill something with
this is the first of them to do that.
So Tom Cruise, it was a bacteria is not the same as virus. It was an organic virus.
Yes. Yeah. Just whatever was on Earth, it was almost like, I hate to say this, not to trivialize, it was almost like the smallpox blankets. Essentially, it was something that these aliens had no resistance to. And so I think generally speaking, the invasion lasts 2 or 3 days, and that's as much time as it takes for the air to circulate and to kill the entities inside these. The alien flesh can't hold back against our environment, the contagions that are inside of it. This is the first one that actually literalized it to a computer virus that is, sort of plugged in and uploaded. But again, that's exactly
this
right out of Roland Emmerich.
This one tries to have it both ways. It's not even worth getting into. But
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like legally we have to get into it, or else they're going to revoke our charter. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna get this out there. This was not a good movie. This is, like you said, this was a COVID production. I thought when I started watching it, I thought, oh, this could just be shitty enough to have been a bad concept. Because you know what? In the last bunch of years, there have been a small handful of movies that were done like this, where it was essentially people on screens.
Right. It's called Stream Life, folks. It's a movie that you're basically seeing the events via one or multiple characters' view of various things on a computer.
John Cho made a movie called Searching. I think it came out about 4 years ago. It was about a dad looking for his either runaway or missing daughter. And it was actually pretty good and it had some good DNA to it. And again, it uses this format well. And I think it was a horror movie that came out during the pandemic that did not use it well. It was much like this, where it was half-assed and, just thin. And you got the impression it was a threadbare COVID thing. And you could look at this too and say, oh, I understand what this is. It's like they had the best they could do is that, Ice Cube wanted a paycheck. He signed on. And it's like, once you had Ice Cube, you can get Clark Gregg, you can get Eva Longoria. Again, there's only 8 actors in the cast. They're talking direct to camera. The rest of it's all done with stock footage and CGI. That kind of thing.
And what fine stock footage in CGI is.
This was originally supposed to be directed by this Kazaki director, this guy named Timur Bekmambetov, who directed Wanted. I think he directed Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He's been doing a lot of junky. He's an action guy who made some pretty hardcore stuff in Russian, and his English language stuff has been really slipshod. He hasn't really assimilated into like people who come across the Swedes, the Norwegians, the Danes can make careers in our movies and they fuse a little better, but this guy is not. Anyway, this looks like exactly the kind of junk that he would have directed, but he dropped out. He's just producing it, and it's like again this guy Rich Lee is on top of it. Like Noah says, he's music video director, graphics guy. It's been mocked since it dropped. It's got, countless bad notices that are all over. If you look at the Letterboxd reaction, you get 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, but the Letterboxd people are like, have their knives are extremely sharp, on top of this thing. And, and the thing is, the pans are correct. Me and Noah both watched this. This is, maybe I'm a snob. It's sort of like barely film literate. I mean, if it's even barely literate, the script is like really, it could have been a fucking ChatGPT generated script. There's really not much about it that you could see like this is what they're going to look like. This is when you see something like this, like the best thing you can say is that no, this guy wrote it himself. But it's like also it's really heralds what it's going to look like when ChatGPT is writing scripts, and it's so fucking egregious. That it was filled with Amazon Prime, product placement. It's like when Mac and me, they kept going to McDonald's when the fucking rubber aliens were dancing on the counters, and it's like, let you know that this was a McDonald's produced movie. This is
hey. It also had Coca-Cola as the one thing that could save Mac's life. I mean, McDonald's wasn't the only company ruthlessly whored out in that movie.
There was a movie that came out, I want to say in 2004. Which was vaguely had the rudiments of this. A movie called Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. And it's kind of vilified. But I actually dug it. It was a one-man show where it was all shot on green screens. And I think it had like 4 or 5 actors. And it was done by a special effects guy who decided, I'm going to make an entire movie using these effects. And it was almost like a serial, like a Republic serial of a dashing, like prop plane, leather cap wearing aviator who was also an adventurer played by Jude Law. And nobody liked it. I thought it was really admirable. It had something estimable to it. It was a real work of effort. It was a real something from the heart of this guy. Kerry Conran, I think, was the director. This guy Rich Lee is not that. Again, if that was hated, this is absolutely deplored. Rich Lee he didn't build the pediments of any kind of appealing film around the SFX. It just seemed like it was a draft, an assignment. I don't know, man. And I think that the thing that I hated the most about this, which kind of like elevates my disregard for this movie outside of just like The Room or garbagey movies that we just like dig our knives into but have fun watching it. This movie suffers from that fucking thing where it compresses, and this is a modern movie disease. It compresses a massive event into something that only 3 or 4 people experience, as if somehow we're supposed to localize. The aliens only matter insofar as Ice Cube loves his daughter and wants to protect her, and wants to apologize for being negligent during their childhood. There is so much of this movie. The movie's not that long. I think it's like an hour, 36 minutes. And there's so much of him writing emails and texts to his kids to apologize. It's like he's having this reckoning. And it's like, dude, it's like, I understand you're trying to make this movie. The War of the Worlds is based on a guy, the most famous version of it was Orson Welles on a microphone. And you just heard him narrating as if it was a news dispatch on the radio. And, that didn't compress it. You were using Orson Welles' voice and his script.
Well, there were other actors and there were special effects.
Exactly. There were rudimentary special effects like unscrewing jars and things like that to animate the sounds of the flying saucers landing and the aliens coming out of it, that sort of thing. But it's like it uses the power of withholding and omission to paint a larger world. This shows you a larger world and then kind of like does the opposite. It crunches it down and completely trivializes it. It's like any kind of chance this movie had to make it seem like this stuff was happening and spiraling out of control is just absolutely defeated by the fact that ultimately it's a fucking Amazon.com drone drops off a thumb drive into his lap.
An Amazon drone saves the day at the end. Well, I love the original story. It was a favorite of mine as a child. And then I became fascinated by the Orson Welles radio broadcast. The story of that really I did in college, I did a paper on it. And then in senior year of college, I actually did a radio play. I found the script of the Orson Welles Mercury Theater production. I found a recording of it and I found the script and I adapted the script and we produced it on the school's radio station. I have the poster for it hanging on the wall right above where I'm sitting right now. So I've always been really drawn to the War of the Worlds story. Ironically, I never saw the Tom Cruise version because I don't like.
I think you could omit it. It's Spielberg or not.
I want to see it. This reminded me I do want to see it because I like Spielberg and completist kind of thing. And it's funny. I looked online, I'm like, oh, it's free online. And I started, and it's like H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, starring C. Thomas Howell. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's a different version that I think came out the same year.
That was probably either one of those Asylum like knockoffs and or Sci-Fi Channel.
I think it was Asylum.
Good God.
I'm like 2 minutes in, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And then C. Thomas Howell pops up. I'm like, yeah, this isn't right.
Tom Cruise looks a lot like C. Thomas Howell in this movie.
Tom Cruise has never performed in blackface. And there are ideas behind this that I really like. I'm not familiar with the screen life concept, but while I'm like, not like, ooh, that sounds fun, I'm like, that could be interesting. And what was the name of the movie you saw with this concept that you enjoyed?
Searching.
So wasn't it a song by the Coasters in the 50s?
Yeah, probably not. Probably just a coincidence, largely.
Probably not an adaptation of it. Anyway, so like I'm intrigued by that idea. It's where the world is moving, right? We experience things through our phones, through our screens. And the novelty of a guy who can access footage. I mean, this is the thing. The Ice Cube character, he works for the NSA. Basically, at his computer, he can instantly hack any camera, any device. He's reading his kids' texts. He's listening to their random strangers' phone conversations. He's looking at what's in his daughter's fridge. He doesn't like that his son is playing too many video games, so he hacks his son's computer and deletes a video game. Yeah, great guy. But the idea of someone who has this kind of power in the middle of a global crisis is intriguing, right? But yeah, as you said, this is an awful, awful film. One thing that made the Mercury Theater, the Orson Welles version, interesting is that it ostensibly was done in real time. Now, the myth of people, thousands of people believing it in panic is a little overblown. It did happen, but not to the extent we think, and no one died and all that. But it was a watershed moment in media studies, understanding how people can fall for this stuff. And one of the holes people poked in it after the fact that you should have realized that this whole show, which was like an hour, we saw the explosions on Mars, the aliens arrived, armies motivated, the aliens destroyed 5 cities, and then the aliens defeated, all in an hour. Come on, how do you believe this? But, it's a real-time conceit, which can work in a story. And I think War of the Worlds is a good story for that to work. And this does use that conceit. So it's wise for this story. It's a well-chosen story for this kind of thing. But that, among all the other good ideas, are undermined by the lack of quality of this movie. The acting is just awful. Ice Cube has done good things in the past, but to quote the AV Club, Jacob Aller, he sounds like he's just learning how to read with Cube's off-screen delivery, moving with the shaky cadence of someone following the script's words with their finger.
Our mutual friend Matthias, we were watching it together. He said something like, it really sounds like Ice Cube was reading his dialogue off as he's been giving pages. That's
pretty much.
His cadence comes down to that.
Someone said Clark Gregg's performance was literally phoned in. The characters are either boring in the case of everyone but Ice Cube or unsympathetic in the case of Ice Cube's character. The story beats are very cliche. Like you said, in the middle of a crisis, man discovers what's important in the midst of a crisis. The all-knowing hackers, he could do anything. There's this like anonymous type group that he's investigating in the beginning, and they play into the plot later. Why am I sparing spoilers?
Spoil it. Go ahead. Spoil it.
It turns out it's his son, and they're these cliche hackers. They wear the hoods, but you can't see their faces. And they say in a modulated voice, "Do you want to play a game?" Give me a fucking break. Even the bits that aren't cliche feel like they were thought up by an Amazon executive. The ultimate goal of these aliens, it turns out, is they want to eat data. And then, of course, at the end, it's an Amazon drone piloted by a Amazon delivery guy, Ice Cube's daughter's boyfriend, who saves the day. Mercury Theater had issues with its timeline, the believability events, but this hypercharges that problem to a laughable degree, with the entire world teaming up to fight this menace in an hour and a half, and then, of course, them being defeated by Ice Cube's family. The three of them, basically.
Yeah, that's it. The compression.
Single-handedly
yes.
solved the problem. So for all the problems that Mercury Theater had, this hypercharges it to a laughable degree, exacerbated by shitty special effects. The alien tripods just look awful. There's a kernel of a good idea here, but it is a very poorly executed film.
They knew exactly where they were going, and they are systematically eliminating resources and our ability to coordinate a response. Here, let me show you.
Noah, can you tell me why this is popular? Why, for the love of God, because is popular even the right word for what we're talking about here?
I mean, this is one of these topics where it's more the discourse about it is popular than the thing itself.
It's infamous, as they say in the Three Amigos.
Three Amigos. It's not famous. It's infamous.
Infamous. It's more than famous.
I think the movie, let's step back. Like, why this movie now? I mean, 5 years later, why did they take it off the shelf? Do we have any idea?
I have no idea. I'm sure that it's just in the world of sludge. This thing was just there. The fucking Looney Tunes movie was made, and that was shelved. These companies do strange things for Batwoman was completely finished. Batgirl, whatever, yeah.
My theory about that, if you're going to take a tax write-off, it should become public domain. That's not the way
we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. I mean, look, an alien invasion is an appealing topic right now. I'm surprised there aren't more of alien invasion movies. And this movie has a moment like, again, all this happens in an hour and a half. The world is putting its differences aside and teaming up against the aliens. There's no story there. So an alien invasion is a bit of a fantasy now, but the movie's bad, and we all enjoy a hate watch, right?
Yeah.
We all enjoy a worthy target of hate, something we can feel good about shitting on, and we all want to beat up on Amazon. And this is a very crass example of an Amazon production, Amazon product placement. I mean, there's a lot of
lack of oversight, lack of direction, lack of support.
Three or four times they talk about spying on people as the metaphor they use, or the metonym they use for spying on people, is all of this just to see what's in people's Amazon carts. It's all about looking at what's in people's Amazon carts. And of course, he orders something on Amazon. By the way, the aliens have destroyed all data. All communication systems are down, but somehow you're still able to see your search history on Amazon and order something with one click. This makes no sense. This movie is completely hobbled by a lack of logic, did anyone read this script?
This to
Where
me,
was Ice Cube's agent? Where's Clark Gregg's agent?
When I
he could be a little more choosy.
When I rattle my sabers against streaming services like Prime, like Netflix, this is the reason. I sort of feel like things are only marginally better than this. Honestly, Netflix movies are only marginally better than this to me.
I disagree.
That's fine. It's a taste thing.
I'm trying to think of a Netflix all right, I just watched the new season of The Sandman. It was a little boring, but in terms of production values, it was 8,000 times better than this.
If it's bad, man, it's on it. No, it's just because if it's bad, I just disregard it, and it's like it might as well be as bad as Rings of Power, which has so much, like thousands of hours and tens of thousands of crew members and all these actors and a $1 billion budget, and it's just as unwatchable as this, with so much more oversight and support. You know what I mean?
All right.
All right. Well, look.
So why do you think this is why people?
Yeah, I mean, you get down to the heart of it.
This?
I thought people all know The Room. I mentioned it before. That's the Tommy Wiseau movie that Franco made that movie, The Disaster Artist, based on it. You know, there's especially in the post 2000s, there is a few instances of so bad it's good, kind of like things that are first, you know, like Lana Del Rey, you know, to bring her back into it, she was sort of one of those, can you believe this exists? It's almost like a joke. It's something that seems so ridiculous, and it's a laugh line, and people enjoy it because there's this ironic look at it. You know, it's like, is this trash really this trash? We're all having a goof at the same time. You know, we're like looking at this thing and saying, oh, it's safe to stick our knives in this, you know, total piece of shit. It's a love dog pile, you know, and everybody looks left and look right. And it's like, everybody's having a fun thing at the expense of this movie. And to be fair, it's like, it's fucking Amazon. You know, they between having weddings and soap parties in Venice and sending rockets up to the fucking Mars that just fall to the earth and burn up on entry, the company's got more money. What is it called? It's a rocket company with like a customer service arm. Like Amazon is such a weird, you know, a conglomerate for the future, a sort of, you know, mercenary corporate entity that is just going to wind up ruling so many precincts of life. And so it's like us laughing at something that just like we have even though Rich Lee is a human being somewhere, the director, we don't really give a shit about his feelings. And who cares if he looked at all this and saw the mockery coming on social media? He got paid. It's fine.
I mean, he's probably not that upset.
He's probably not that upset about it. Exactly. You know. The trailer came out and people were like laughing and snickering. Like the trailer had all this, and people knew that something DOA was coming at you from the trailer. Like this was obvious, and now you've just had this, like, again, it's not a huge sensation, but it's a consistent sensation where everybody who sees this, it is, you know, it's got that 0% and it earns it. And we're all,
I mean, it's zero. I mean, can you think of another movie that, I don't read Rotten Tomatoes that much, but like, nobody liked it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you know, give it some time because it's only been out for something like seven days or something like that.
So some idiot will discover it soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like everybody
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everybody, Noah, me and you and all the other people, we have a license to drop our pants and just empty our bowels from a great height on this
That's
fiasco.
Great.
These little guys are drawn to data.
What do you mean drawn to data?
It's intelligent. The more data it consumes, the smarter it gets.
Bill, is there any scenario under which if you were younger now, or if this, let's not say if this came out when you were younger, because it would have been like it was in, you know, Tagalog. It would have made no sense in an earlier generation. Sorry, I'm not insulting Tagalog to you, okay?
Yeah, no, I understand. The inscrutability. I hear you.
Yeah. Would you have liked this in any scenario?
Oh boy, no. I think that the movie and its dumb, moronic, idiot, stupid, booger-eating screenwriting would have had an appeal to me. And thinking back to some of the stuff that got by, when I was 7 or 8 years old, if this showed up on HBO, you're goddamn right I would have watched it. I probably would have watched it 3 or 4 times over the course of a month. You know, look, I was going to say, I was making a little list of the stuff. It's like, I wrote Flash Gordon down and Tron. However, those movies are different. Those movies are, I think those are in sui generis pieces of art. You know, people, the Flash Gordon has a sort of camp appeal. It's got the soundtrack by Queen. It's got some goofy acting inside of it, but it is a comic strip brought to life by a British director who was Mike Hodges, was a guy. He made Get Carter. The guy knew what he was doing. And there's a lot of art in it. I mean, it's like, you can say it's silly, you can say it's weird, but it's campy and it's heightened, but there's a lot of concentration, and I think it's actually a decent movie. Good acting and stuff like that. Tron is the same thing. Like Tron, people think Tron is dull. I think it was, you know, like that's the kind of movie I saw when we were 8 or 9 years old. It just fucking captivated me. I've been a lifelong fan. Really? So, right, I was thinking.
Tron, I never liked it.
You're one of the, right, exactly. You're one of the people that didn't. And I thought it's like, oh.
I like the video game.
Right, the video game. And the Journey songs from the soundtrack were also very good too at the time. But then I was thinking like, well, this is like Megaforce. Megaforce is a movie that I watched a ton. It's not a good movie, and it's not really, it's cheesy corn that was made. It was like, it is such a stamp of the year that it was made, 1982.
It was like, on the back, the ad for it was on the back cover of every comic book for like a year.
Yeah. I mean, it was like Matchbox cars come to life. And that's, you were sort of selling a toy set. It, like He-Man would come 2 or 3 years later and crack the code of the toy commercial. And Megaforce was, anyway, the point is that Megaforce wasn't a good movie, but it was something I watched like a religion, and I was sort of obsessed with it. I could easily see this. Just because it has this, yeah, man, like before you have critical faculties, before you're 10 years old, before I'm 10 years old, I could certainly have seen this travesty by Universal Studios and Herbert George Wells having some sort of captivation?
I can't see it for myself. I mean, I'm not thinking of myself as a little kid. I guess I wasn't into that kind of sci-fi that much at that age, but I think of myself if I like in my 20s or college now. And I mean, look, I was dumber and I made more allowances for cliches. So maybe I'd say, I can imagine myself saying, it's all right. It's got a few things. It's not great, but it's okay. But no, I probably not. And of course, I was so self-righteous that I'd look for even more opportunities to beat up on Amazon. So yeah, I don't think I'd like this if I were younger. And again, like this would have made no sense if it came out when we were little kids. If there were ads for this on the back of every comic book in 1982.
This plan is humanity's last chance. I see no other option to initiate this war of the worlds to save us all.
Noah, is this sign of the apocalypse in fact a sign of the apocalypse?
I mean, they save the day at the end, right?
Yes.
This is what I don't get. Like, this is my biggest problem with Independence Day. I do like Independence Day, but Independence Day, I remember a review that summed it up. Like, the end of the movie, millions are dead, and people celebrate like they won a volleyball game. This has that sin to a worse... I mean, somehow, all data's gone. Everyone's bank account is emptied out. But somehow, 5 minutes after it's over, people are still tweeting, and there's still Reddit posts. And then 5 minutes after it's over, there are articles celebrating this family as heroes and people going on with their life. Like, this is, even if the aliens are dead, this is fucking, civilization has collapsed.
Yeah,
collapsed.
That's a fair thing to say, I believe, yeah.
However, we're not talking the world of the story. I don't think this is, the existence of this movie is the apocalypse. Probably not. People realize it's shit. I mean, look, people realizing things might not be enough to stave off apocalypse anymore because, that's what fascism does. It creates its own reality. But, I'm heartened by the fact that this isn't winning Oscars, right? But I want to quote, there's an article, I should have sent this to you, that same article I quoted before, AV Club, Jacob Aller. And he talks about the movie, and he talks about how bad the movie is. But the conceit he uses is that there's a biography of Jeff Bezos from a few years ago. And apparently in the biography, he's quoted that Jeff's telling people about Amazon, film and TV projects. And he's like making, this is the way billionaires think, making stories shouldn't be that hard. It's easy. And he had a checklist of like 10 or 12 things that successful TV shows and films have. I think he was more talking about TV shows because it included things like, cliffhangers, episode to episode. And Aller in this article writes about how this fulfills all those things. So it is clearly a movie that Jeff Bezos thinks has to succeed. And he sums it up as this. Here's a quote. As far as the man signing the checks is concerned, the film is Citizen Kane, which is the only movie guys like him know is supposed to be good. This Jeff Bezosian fever dream in which his company's exploited delivery drivers rescue hapless federal employees and the entire world from the overstepping follies of big government is also an essential demonstration of a tech executive's idea of art. I think that sums it up very well. And by the way, we didn't say, again, spoiler, part of the reason the aliens invade is because the secret government organization basically rolled out the welcome mat for them. So, yeah, this could be apocalypse if we keep plunging into the fascist world where guys like Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel and, Mark Zuckerberg all create reality and tell us what to do. And every movie has to follow this Jeff Bezosian fever dream. So, it might be the fact that this is getting, completely dragged online might not be enough. And this might be the future of movies, in which case it's apocalypse for art, if nothing else.
I think it's the present of movies. I don't think we have to wait for this to happen because...
Oh, come on. No, it's not because this is being held up as 0%.
You know what?
It would be the present if this were average or every year.
I feel like everything that Netflix kicks out with Millie Bobby Brown is the same. To me, it's indistinguishable
Really?
from this.
You don't like Stranger Things?
No, I'm saying there's Enola, what is it? Enola Holmes. There's a whole cottage industry. Millie Bobby Brown only exists because Netflix exists. She doesn't have a career outside of the streamer, and everything she makes with the streamer is extremely poorly received by anyone over the age of 13 years old. But it's a bubble planet you could exist on where Millie Bobby Brown is the biggest star on the biggest streamer and doesn't make anything you actually want to watch, aside from perhaps the exception of Stranger Things. But more to the point, like I will go back to saying that this is exactly what AI filmmaking is going to look like. I think this is what AI screenwriting is going to sound like. The list, I've read the same thing you did about Bezos, and it's like, tell me that there's not an algorithm that has those single bullet points. It's like, it's so long as you put this into the précis of a prompt, this is what it looks like when you kick out a script without any relation in terms of human language, about mood, about feeling. It's going to mechanically go about hacking out a script that just makes the signposts along the way so you reach these places along the journey from point A to point E or whatever it is. It's just, like, visually, some of the things, in fact, look like they were Mid-Journey or DALL-E. You mentioned the design of the tripods. They look terrible. They were designed terrible, but they were rendered terrible. It was a cheap design. Even when they had full, part of this thing is you're looking through cameras and you're looking through like eyewitness photography. But when you were actually seeing these things through high res, they looked like they were from the 1980s. They looked like they were an old piece of CGI from 25 years ago. It's kind of strange how little effort was put into it. But again, the budget for this was probably minuscule, I just think that the output of for the moment, the output of Hack Human Artist matches the 6-fingered bullshit work of server farms in, Louisiana. We got a problem.
6-finger.
I'm done watching us. From now on, I'm watching you guys.
Is there any way in which you are jealous of the phenomenon of the war of the war? Who's the guy playing the president? He's someone.
The
It's
guy
a
playing
bit part.
The president was played by.
And of course, this is another absurdity. The world is on fire, and the president is not even a speech he's on a Zoom call with 3 people from the Oval Office. Give me a fucking break. And he literally says something like, "We have now declared a war of the worlds."
That's it. That's it right there.
That's it. There you go. So is there any way in which this version of the War of the Worlds makes you jealous?
No, I mean, I regret the time I sunk into seeing this and then making notes for
That's
our
regret.
show.
That's not jealousy.
That's regret.
You're jealous
That's
of people who didn't spend the time to.
I wish no part of the creation of something similar like this in real life. Jealousy has little to do with it. Yes, I would say most of my feelings are regret and sort of misspent time. Perhaps when I'm surrounded by my loved ones now and my children and my grandchildren, and they say, Grandpa, what would you do differently? I would say, I would rather have the 3 hours of my life back where I watched the movie and then sort of thought about it and took notes in a Google document back in 2025. But other than that, no, not necessarily.
You spent an hour and a half thinking about it and taking notes? Or
Maybe.
you're counting the time we're talking?
I got up and I took a whiz. I sat back down again and I sort of checked,
Okay.
I checked Friendster and I did some time. Yeah.
Okay, of course you did. I'm jealous that my version didn't get made into a movie. When I did this as a radio play, that never went farther than
that's a better jealousy than mine. I think that's a good
KRLX, the 88.1 in Northfield, Minnesota. I do have a cassette of it. I do have a cassette of my version. That's the only real jealousy I have. Every time I'm like, I wish, every time I'm like, I should have been an actor. I wish I was an actor. I'm like, yeah, but if I had been an actor, I would have probably ended up doing projects like this. Mm-hmm. So it's the opposite of jealousy. What
about the Felonian scale, Noah? Where would you? Well, let me lead first because I prefer yours. You have better. So I would have ranked this. All right. How about this? And this is sort of cause and effect. If Chicken Jockey used DALL-E to generate a prompt for Goncharov. Although Goncharov was kind of cool, though. In terms of a fake bit of bullshit.
Was interesting.
Yeah, there was just something. Goncharov had fingerprints on it, even though it was made by smudgy machines. Like that looked like something semi-real. It was evinced that there was an actual taste behind it. But it's like this would be the Goncharov that Chicken Jockey would make if given the chance to do so.
I was trying to think of a movie we covered that was formally innovative. And I'm having trouble.
Have not been a lot. We've definitely had a lot of movies, but not formally innovative movies.
Well, a TV show we did that was formally innovative was Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself. But I wanted to stick with movies, so I did Sinners. I mean, Sinners had some formal innovations that worked fantastically.
Definitely.
Sinners is an excellent. This is the anti-Sinners. So you take Sinners, you multiply it by a movie that I think is terrible. So arguably the worst movie we've looked at on this podcast, in my opinion, is Cha Cha Real Smooth.
You
liked that, didn't you?
I did. You have a real hard on for it. I was going to say Minions. Like I was trying to predict what you were going to say before you said it, but no.
Cha Cha was worse than Minions. And you know me, I'm the one person who liked Cats. I was thinking about it because Cats is like famous as one of the worst movies ever.
Yeah.
And people are talking about this as one of the worst movies ever. I would watch Cats 30 more times before watching.
That's funny. Cats was kind of one of these with a different degree, but it was sort of one of these where we all felt good having a gestalt moment of like shitting on something.
We did, but look, I'm not going to say Cats was a great movie, but I enjoyed it. I found it interesting and entertaining.
I can't take that away from you. You're absolutely right. Yes.
And even with the crummy special effects, which I thought all told worked better than the crummy special effects here. So Sinners times Cha Cha Real Smooth. That movie just enrages me how much I hated it. Minus 5.168.
Oh, well, no. Okay. Now that changes things. That makes sense. Now you've said that.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you figured it out.
Minus diaper influencing. Yeah.
The diaper influence. Well, we like diaper influence.
We did. We did.
Diaper-fluencers.
Meat and diaper. All the fluencing, really.
War
of the world's fluencing. Yeah.
Martian flu. No,
skibbity toilet fluencing.
Yeah. Skibafluence. No, enough.
You know what?
More coffee.
This is a slight jag, but I was actually hanging out with some guests in Amsterdam yesterday. My friend Joe came over from Manchester with her two grown daughters, and her grown daughters would sort of dip in and out of. They were almost trying to get their mother's goat by talking about Labubu, but they were pronouncing it like an influencer's cadence, and it was making her mom angry. And they kept talking about the mother was like, I don't know
what's an influencer's cadence.
Well, no, it sounds almost like Posh Spice talking about a 25 karat Labubu. There's a clip apparently that they were imitating. The cadence was like really vapid, and they just like imitating the other people they see. And they brought up Skibbity Toilet, and their mother said, I have no idea what that is. And I was happy to tell them over lunch. I said, I know what both of those things are because I devoted a lot of time to the architecture of pop culture on our podcast. So.
Wow, what a way of describing what we do. Devoting time to the architecture of pop culture.
See, it really makes it sound like something. That tax write-off looks like something now.
By the way, I do live trivia events, and I wrote a question about Skibbity Toilet, and I've used it a fair amount in recent months, and people really don't know it.
Yeah,
I think they're more likely to know it if they have. Well, I think they know it if they have tweens.
Yeah.
I don't think I've used it at any event for kids. I don't do that many events for kids these days, but I think they only know it if they have kids in that age group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And you listen to what they said. You let them out of their closet every now and then to eat and get sunlight. Then you figure out what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's enough.
That's it. Oh, God, this movie was really bad.
You've had enough of this, everybody. If you would like to find past episodes, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and YouTube. Skeet Ulrich, us at noahandbillshow.bsky.social. Write to us, noahandbilldon'tgetit@gmail.com. Give us a review on the alligators. In terms of social media contact, you can get a hold of us, myself, personally, and I, at billscurry.bsky.social, at William Scurry on Twitter, youtube.com/amcaesar, where you'll find my other video type stuff, things. And Noah is also assailable as well.
You know, every time someone mentions Skeet Ulrich, I think of your wife. You know why?
That was her joke. I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a joke. So Bill's wife bore some resemblance to Janine Garofalo. So she used to say, I'm Janine Garofalo-like. I am the Skeet Ulrich to her Johnny Depp.
That's a good you remember that. That's a good line.
If you're our age, you know that you get
that. Yeah, that kills amongst 50-year-old people.
that killed at the open mics where
in 2002.
In 2002, yeah. My trivia events you can learn all about them at bigquizthing.com. The Big Quiz Thing, America's premier providers of corporate and private live trivia events, nationwide, worldwide. I'm headed. I got some travel coming up, dude. I got events personally. I'm going to events in Minnesota, LA, and Seattle all in the coming months. So. Need to book a cat sitter. And then you can, so go to bigquizthing.com, learn all about it, book us for your own corporate, private, fundraiser event, etc. And I am personally on Instagram from time to time at the Noah Tarnow.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, where we're talking about the Quibi production of War of the Worlds, we don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2025.